Hey everyone, Roger here from Ask the Car Experts YouTube channel. Safety Clean sent me some products to try, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about an E70 with an N55, where we're going to do some spark plugs, and we're going to do what's in this box here, the crankcase line, because it usually breaks when you have higher mileage cars. The part number for an E70 N55 for this is 11-12-7-584-128, and the spark plugs we're going to be installing are BMW spark plugs. They're 12-12-0-037-582. Let me show you how this is done. First step is just to remove the vanity cover. It just pulls straight up. It pulls out this way. There's a couple of tabs. Don't lose the rubber pieces. Now we're going to take the air box out here, and this charge air pipe here, which goes down, or the intake pipe here. This is the crankcase hose that usually breaks. You can see the discoloration right here. This is usually very brittle, and you can try to pop it free and then move everything out of the way if it doesn't break. Okay, you don't have to replace it, but you should be prepared, because quite often this does break. Let's take the air inlet tube first. There is a tab here that you can press to help get that out, and a good tug will get that out of your way. You can get to 1, 2, and 3 fine, but you can't get to 4, 5, and 6 because the air inlet is blocking you, and I think there's a unit on top of the back that we have to take off and expose that area. This is your Valvetronic motor right here, in case you're curious what this is. We don't really have to touch that. We do have to disconnect this line here, right, which is just clipped right here, and it's a press fit here. And we won't have to touch this one that goes to the valve cover. This is the one where I have another video where if there's oil in here, then this internal reservoir has a crack and oil is getting in from the valve cover. This could be an unmetered air leak, and anything like vacuum lines can get filled with oil from this failure. The fix is to replace the valve cover. But let's get back to the spark plugs. So I need a T20. I really like this kit that I got off of Amazon. This is an HCT 1050-03. It says VIM tools, and it's a nice kit. 1/4-inch kit, and we need a T20. Alright, so we're going to take off this screw right here, which is holding the fresh air pipe. And there's a little washer, which I dropped, so I needed to get a washer. So just make sure when you take that off, mine fell down there. It's only a tiny washer, so you can just use a different washer just to hold this rubber grommet down for correct tension. There's the vacuum line right here, which actually this goes to the rear flap, the rear muffler flap. So just with a pick, you can usually take that and just move that off so that this is going to be free. We also have to disconnect the connector right down here. Let me show you. This is the connector for the crankcase heater. With a pick, just gently lift up on the top of the clip, and you can easily slide the plug off. Alright, so we have that off, that off. We're going to pop the box up. Now you have 4 clips. Let me show you that too. Right here on the crankcase heater. So if you're careful, ooh, look at that. I mean, I didn't even put any pressure on it and it broke. That's why I ordered one. So you can carefully, I think that one was already broken, pry these up and put pressure on it to get them to go back. It usually takes a few tries, and you have to get the one underneath too. If you have 3 on it, you're probably okay. I mean, 2 might be okay also. Let's see, I hear it crunching. So if I try to pull this off, it's going to crack. So you can hear it crunching. So this is, I know that this is failing I planned on replacing it, but we're going to try to not break it by backing it off. I'm going to take the whole box out and wiggle it out this way to the left, and hopefully not break that, and maybe you won't have to spend the extra money on it. Alright, see if this works. We're going to leave that on. Coming down here, I'm not going to touch this clamp or this clamp. I'm only going to touch, hopefully, this clamp down here. So right, this is off, this is off, this is loose, this is off. I'm going to loosen that clamp right there, and we're going to try to take the whole box and air tube out as one piece. Okay, loosen that up. Pop this up. And they just lift up. It's on like rubber grommets that hold it down. Okay. Oh, and the mass airflow sensor. Gotta unplug that too. Where are you, clip? Right there. Might need a pick. Alright, just have to get in there with the pick at the right spot. Pop that off. You can see right here, there's a press tab, but the plastic gets hard. If you take your 90-degree, carefully get on the back side, you can get under the lock, which will then release, and it's facing this way, so you have to come over the top and pop that free. Okay, so just move that out of the way. Okay, just popping the box up. Okay. There's another rubber holder back here. Let's see if it gets tight again. That should pop up. Yeah, like so. Okay. So that's only held by those rubber grommets. Now I got this whole piece floating. Oh, you can see actually that popped off there. Let me make sure you can see that. Right at my crankcase hose right here, it actually came out without, well, you hear it crunching. It's needed to be replaced, but that's how you do it without breaking it. You bring it out this way, and just moving that box out to the left, usually you can sneak it out. And then I separate it like so, and I'm going to take this whole piece out as one piece. I'm going to replace this, right? So if you tried to push it, that's what's going to happen. Hopefully you saw that, right? It just, a little bit of pressure, and it just cracks. This gets so brittle with age that I plan on replacing it at 80,000 plus. In case you're doing spark plugs, you should have one ready. Now that we're at this point, you have a choice. Take this off so we have a straight shot, because we do have to loosen up the harness here. There's a couple of T20s, I believe, also, might be 25, back here that we need to get to. And with the AC line, there isn't really a lot of room to get a tool in. So if I use this tool here, right, and it'd be nice if I could zip it, I might be able to get the outer one, but I can't get on the inner one because the AC line's in the way. So you can use a tool like this where it has an inset for just a stubby adapter, and you can loosen it that way by hand. Takes a while. Or we can take the box out, which I think is going to give us a more of a direct shot down, gives you more room. So let's go ahead and take this out so you can see an easier way. Just going to move the rubber gasket. This is 90-degree turn with 13, 2, 3, 4. This comes up and around the hood shock. There's another 13 down in here. You can't miss it. Just twist that. And I need a longer extension. There's 2 more on top to take the air box out of the way. Alright, so we're going to take longer extension, do a 90 there, 90 there. That gets you access to the microfilter. There is a plug here for the AUC smell sensor that closes the fresh air flaps. You can twist it or you can unplug it just by pressing that tab. This one just popped out, so I'll just leave it there. That closes the fresh air flaps to recirc if it detects, I would imagine, like hydrocarbons or exhaust. It's supposed to automatically shut it. Alright, let me show you where we're at. Push clip here, 13 here. We got some Allen head screws here, 1 and 2. There's a rubber gasket here. I think we can sneak it out, but we have to take this one off here too. And I think we can sneak it out towards the left side of the engine this way once I get all those free. So I like this tool too, SHM 400, and that's my set of Allen's 1/4 inch also an Amazon product that it's just easy to get and not very expensive to take off the Allen head screws for this bulkhead partition. This was a 10 over here. I don't know if I said 13 before or a 10, but it's a 10. And you'll see them. They're just the 2 in there. We have this one out here. And I still have that push clip right there to take out. So I'm just going to use a pick. Just get on the back side and you almost lost it. Alright, I just did one of these, got in there and pushed it out and removed the plastic push pin. And let's see if this works here. Did I miss any of them? Oh, I know I missed one. There's another 10 right there. What I do with my 10mm. Right here. One more 10. So there's 2 10s. Let's do is another one. Well, I see standing water in this well. I gotta clean that out. That's not good. That gets into the wiring, that can cause a problem. Plus you have an integrated voltage module down there that water gets into from clogged drains in these wells. Not good when you see standing water. I gotta clean that for my buddy here. Okay, there we go. That's that one right there. There's 2 of those. And now maybe it'll come off easy. So up and slide out. Wow, like it was supposed to. Beautiful. And wow, look at that. That gives me perfect access. Now I would say to fight it, it's not worth it. This was not hard. So definitely taking this cover off, that's the way to go. Much easier. Let me show you down here. Alright, this was where the 2 screws were, the Allens. Then there's one here on the strut tower and one here. Those were the 2 10s, right? This, when we put it back, we're going to slide it under the flap here. But always check these wells on X5. See the standing water in the leaves? There is a drain down there, so I'm going to just get something and put some gloves on. It looks kind of gross. And clean that out to make sure that that flows. If this fills up with water, so you have the wiring, and you have this integrated voltage module down there, and that can get corroded, and that'd be a bad day. That supplies power to multiple components and your Valvetronic motor. Alright, so I need to get the T20s down in this area here, and I got a couple of options. I mean, you really only need a T20. You can use an extension. The only thing I don't like about this is that with the wobble end, you have a ledge and you can get caught. I have to go down between these wires, and when I come up through, if I get caught, I'm going to lose my socket. It pops off. So you can use this, but I have this setup here, which This is a Mako set. I mean, I'm not trying to sell tools, but I feel like that's all I've been talking about. Sorry. But this is an RSE, I think that's a KT4. It's worn out. But it's a 4-piece stainless steel extension set, and it's magnetic. So I use a T20 with a magnetic end. It's smooth, so it can't get caught. And then this actually, on this end, is a snap-on adapter for, you know, this style tool, this hex style. Let me see if I can see this. I really like the snap-on tool. TMB SBA USA, I think. Man, it's a 1/4 inch, but I mean, if you have a snap-on rep, you'll be able to find them. But this also is magnetic, so it doesn't fall off on this end either. Right now, I can go in confidently. You don't need these specialty tools, but they help. And loosen that up and get my hand in there so I don't lose the screw. Back it off, and there's my first one right there. Alright, saw that fall out, but it doesn't matter because I'm not going to lose anything. Then I can come on the back side, get the right angle. Oh man, maybe I dropped the screw after all anyways. Thankfully it went all the way down, but it's not what I'm trying to do. You know, a little bit of butyl or something on the end would help make that sticky, so that less chance of dropping it. But you got to take those two T20s out off the back of the harness right here so that this can get lifted up. Otherwise we're going to just rip our foam when we get that off. And you see there's a lot of steps to doing this, and that's why it's not inexpensive to replace spark plugs on an N55, but something you can do yourself, and it's a good excuse to buy more tools, which that's what I like to do. You need a good excuse to buy tools. Alright, so back here, this, oh, it's actually unclipped already, but this usually has a tab on it where you pull this tab back and unclip that to move the harness back. So we lift that up. See, we have like a locator tab here. I'm going to pull that foam out from that spot. Lift that up there. So just take note of the orientation of the foam. We have to put it back obviously the same way. That tab is for one of your holders for the air box. Lift this up here and bring this forward, and that sits over this tab right here. You have another cutout. Alright, gonna bring that forward. Wiggle the foam out. The foam's gonna go back in this way here. I always refer to the video. And move the foam out of the way. And now I have access to my back coil, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't get to 5. So I have this connector right here in the way. And make sure you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah. Right here. Yep. Alright, so these are your O2 sensor wiring. So I'm going to just pop those out of the holder. They're just metal spring retainers that just pop out. I'm not going to unplug anything, don't have to. But I do have to take this off here. I have to take this bracket out, because the bracket is blocking number 5 coil. I like that tone. Alright, so now I have another Torx holding that down, and I'm sure there's more than one, right? It's floating. It might actually only be that one. Okay, and I could probably leave this on maybe and just flip it out of my way. Let's see. Alright, so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully my arm's not in the way. This is a T30. Take that out. And you can see this bracket now is free, so I can move this out of my way, and now I have access to that coil. So all I have to do, actually I probably didn't need to pop those off, I just need to get to that T30, but I like the tone it made. So you can pop those back on if you want, so you don't forget when you're going back on. right? And now I have access, and I'm finally ready to do the spark plugs. I'm going to probably fire up my compressor though, and I'm going to blow this out just so that I can clean out some of this debris. I'm not going to have you guys watch me do that because the sound is very annoying. Alright, I just blew all the sand and debris out. I did cover the crankcase opening because I don't want any sand in my engine. So I'll just take my plastic back off. You can use like paper towel or whatever. So now it's a lot easier. We have basically full access to all 6. I'm going to just take a pick. These coils, they have a press tab which pushes the connector out. So just lift them up. That enables you to then slide the connector off. To get these out, don't lever them because they like to break that way. Be careful for this hose here. I like to go straight up, pull straight towards you, and they come off much easier. Alright, now if you see one that is full of corrosion, that means water's getting in. That's not necessarily a good thing. You might want to replace it. Although BMW does say that it is normal, it doesn't affect functionality of the coil with an exterior being full of corrosion. But I would be concerned with water getting into this area, which can cause corrosion into other components, and sometimes the valve cover doesn't come off because of that. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing. Lift up. Oh, that one came out nice and easy without the tab releasing. It's perfectly fine. Release the tab. And you see this one's actually more discolored, right? But it doesn't look like it's water. But I mean, just the coloration alone doesn't mean that your coil is bad. I'm going to lay these on the ground in order. I'm going to put them back in the same order I took them out. I don't think it really matters. It's just a habit. Same thing. Number 3. Hook it. Pop it up. I wonder if that front coil was replaced. That's my whiter one. The other ones are kind of yellowed. Right? And actually, if you look in here, you'll see like a little bracket that's part of these valve cover or engine buckets right here, the injector buckets, and that's where your coil sits. It has to be in that direction. So just take note of that when you're taking these off. Alright, that's that bracket we moved. Don't go underneath and get caught on the wiring. Hope you can see that. Got to make sure that that wiring is clear, everything is clear before you lift straight up so you don't break anything. Alright, that's number 4. It's one of them we couldn't get to. Number 5 we couldn't get because the O2 sensor holder was in the way. So going to just release the connector, do the same trick, hook it, and pull straight up, pop it free, slide that one out. And the last one, still a little bit harder, but we can move this out of the way. I know you're not going to be able to see because I'm holding it like this, but it gives you access to the coil. Same thing. Slide it back, hook it, make sure you're not around any other wires, and pull straight up. You hear that nice pop. And she comes out nice and easy. Check inside your spark plug holes. Look for oil. If you do see oil, that means your valve cover is leaking. I'll bring you over. Alright, so we want to look in here. And they look pretty good. There's some, I don't know if it's just dirt on the bottom. We'll see when we pull one out. It could have been from a previous valve cover leak because I don't see necessarily any active leaks. But check your valve cover while you're here too. If you need to replace the valve cover, now would be the time, right? And you know, sometimes they develop a crack. Here's the 2 vacuum lines right here. This is the feed for the rear flap, and that is the feed for your EPDW, or electric pneumatic pressure converter, for your turbo wastegate actuator right there, called an EPDW. All right, so now that I have all the coils out, let's take these spark plugs out. All right, so talking tools again, I do need a specialty spark plug adapter. This is an SP1412 made by AST. That's my German Shepherd barking. Zion, stop! And I like these here because they're a nice wobble. You don't necessarily need to use a wobble like this, but when you're torquing down the spark plug, if it gets at a weird angle and it jams, you can actually crack the ceramic. So this is also, I believe, an Amazon tool. 3T E11 3503 is the smaller one. I think it does come as a set. These are 3/4, and then this is by 12-inch. This is an Expert 3T E11 3504. So I'm going to use the longer one here, and you can see it's like a ball socket, which is much more nice. Is that a real word? Which is nicer than I think I have one here. This style, right, where it can lock when you're using it. So I prefer the ball socket. Alright, just put it in. I'm not going to use like air or anything electric to break them free. I'm going to use just a ratchet. I want to see what they feel like. Now if they feel good, then I can switch. But I want to have that feel so that I know. Hold on, I got to swap a battery. Okay. So that I know that it's not binding. I feel like the threads are going to come out. Anything weird, I can notice. Once I know it's loose enough, I can go ahead and take it out. No problem. They look worn, but it's time to do them anyways. Alright, so up to you. You can take them all out at once or one at a time. You basically have an open hole. If I dropped something down in there, that would not be a good day. So I don't actually like to do that. I'm going to use another tool. I can't believe there's so many tools that I'm talking about. 8330-496-065 actually is a BMW tool. And I don't know if this video is going to be posted before I do a different video. I have a few that I haven't been able to edit. And this is a spark plug tool, right? Like this rubber thing. I mean, you could probably make one with a piece of rubber hose, but BMW actually makes a spark plug tool for this application. You get a spark plug. Alright, here's our spark plug. And it even tells you what the torque is. 23 plus or minus 3. So I'm going to take my spark plug out. You don't want to use a dropped spark plug, so don't drop it. Alright, take that off. Now this pushes on. So you're not sliding it down the bore, you're not putting it in here where you can bang it on the way down. I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to gently put it in, and I can even go ahead and use the tool to do a pre-snug. And I'm going to replace all of them, and then I will torque them all in one shot. I would say that that BMW tool is worth it. If you're going to do your own maintenance, you should get it. And then once you're snug, just pop it out, just like that. So again, I don't know if you count that, it's 8330-496-065. I don't know if they make knockoff versions or not. I actually have the BMW one, so that's what I'm using. Alright, so now I'm going to go through and remove all the other spark plugs. I guess I'll do these. Here, squeak. Alright, feel it gets tight. Switch it and go back the other way, loosen it back up. It's corrosion in the threads. So that's why I don't want to necessarily use electric. I want to be able to feel it. Sounds terrible, but it's fine. You can feel it. Now I went back and forth a little bit just to help relieve any tension and break up some of the corrosion. I guess number 2 was actually a good example of why. And it feels loose enough. I know I'm safe. Bring it out the rest of the way. Grab the spark plug and do the same thing. Probably good if you watch me do 2, and then you don't have to watch me for the next 2, and maybe the number 5 is not too bad, and then I'll pop it back on for number 6. It's a little bit harder to get to. Same thing, using our rubber, I don't know, I don't want to say what we jokingly call it. I'm sure you can guess. And go ahead and bottom that out. No, I do not use lubricant on the threads. It's not a recommendation from BMW, so I don't use it. So just bottom that out, and I can't cross thread it using this tool. The number 1 reason why you want to use it. Alright, I'm going to pause and do a few more. We'll get to number 6 in a minute. Welcome back to cylinder number 6. So, it's the whole point of removing this, which is really the best way to go. So we can go straight down with this long extension, and I almost used my electric before I broke it free. So only really number 2 was the very squeaky one. Okay, and they all just look normally worn. So we're on number 6. Where'd my rubber go? There it is. Got my rubber tool. And let's put number 6 in together. And again, this way you're not dropping it, sliding it, banging it. You can flex this tool so you can get in there very, very nice. I don't know if you heard the saying that BMW is a car manufacturer that actually makes tools for their cars. Right? They make cars that you end up having to use so many special tools for. No, actually I said that wrong. They're a tool manufacturer that makes cars so that they can use the tools on their cars. Ouch. Alright, so I have all of them in. It's torquing time. And I'm going to use, obviously, my wobble with this tool that I recommended as well. Alright, so I'm going to use my torque wrench, and I'm going to just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, I took some skin off. Alright, and I said 23 plus or minus 3. I just like 25. So I'm going to torque all of my plugs to 25. 25.4. Go gentle, 25.1. I'm just double checking I'm doing by a triple check. You know, if you have a torque wrench and you're not quite sure, maybe you want to set it at 23 and then just go 23 plus a little bit, and that way you'll know you're right in the correct ballpark. Of 26 total, but 25.2. You see how it took a little bit more? That's why I do it 3 times. And that one's exactly 25. But it took a little bit more. I felt it just tighten just a tiny bit more. And remember, there was a lot of corrosion on the threads, so I want to make sure 25.1 is my total. I want to make sure that these are torqued right. I don't want my spark plugs to back out and have combustion getting onto my coils. Could just be a misfire, or it can damage my coils. Yeah, that one actually moved a little bit more. I've seen them so loose that the spark plug blew the coil out. I mean, if you only have a couple of threads, you can also damage the threads. Alright, don't forget number 5. Extension. I want to be up against the brace. This is just high enough if I keep it right in this area. 25, okay. And so I could keep my socket and extension nice and straight when I'm torquing that. This one I have to be a little bit of an angle with the tool, but that's fine because my extension is straight and I have that wobble, so I don't stress the top of the plug and crack it. 25. Okay. Alright, and we're mostly done. Now I'm going to start with 6, but let me just show you what I was talking about that casting mark area. See right here, my coil has to sit in that casting area. So when I put it in, and this is number 6, not number 1, but it has to sit in that well. So you can see right there how it sits when I push it down. I want it to be right there. If I'm here, I could probably do it. I could probably push the sucker in here, but that's not where it's supposed to sit. That gives it the correct depth. So it has that little spot where it sits. Alright, so I'm going to do number 6 and run through these and pop them down, and I'll talk more, of course, I'm sorry, when I get over to cylinders 3, 2, and 1. I lied, I'm going to talk about cylinder 6. Alright, cylinder 6, this is your wiring for your injector. So if I put my coil in and it was on this side, you can't lift the lock to put your connector on, your harness on. So this harness has to be on the engine side, like so, of your coil, the back side. So this tab can lift up and slide it in for when I push it in. And then obviously you line it up. I already put my connector on, and then I'm just going to push it down into that well. And then I'll make sure with both hands that it's all the way seated. So just got to watch out for these injector wires. Alright, I got 6 and 5 in. Let's do 4. So again, same thing, watch out for the injector harness. Slide it in, find your location point. I'm going to move the harness on the back side. These coils, the way they work is you can't lock it like this. It has to be all the way up. It slides in, and then as you come down, it will pull the connector in. So you don't have to be fully seated first. You can mate them together, push it in, lock it, and make sure that it slides all the way. So sometimes if they're not locking right, this won't slide, it won't fully seat, you'll end up with a misfire. And then same thing, line it up, push it down. I really like to try to push these in really well. I've seen them pop out before. A little wiggle, gentle tug. See how easy that came out? Well, that's normal, but just got to make sure that it's fully seated. Next one, connector up, line it up, slide it, and then that is what pulls it down. Make sure we're fully seated. And cylinder number 1, numero 1. Same thing, slide it, align it, and push it. And then, doesn't hurt to go over them all. And put your hands on them. That's my OCD step. Say like I tighten, I'm good. Now I can do my bracket here. That sits right there. Let me get my T30 screw and put that in next. Alright. So this was that T30. That off or else I can't put it in. So there was a reason to take the injector connection off, or injector, the O2 sensor connection off. Wrong way. Just gently snug. This is just screwing into plastic, so gently snug. Do not over tighten. It's just a holder. Alright, you got that one, and our harness, make sure that you hook it in the corner too. Alright, before we install the harness, you got to make sure that you put your phone back in the right spot, because that goes under and towards the back of this harness. So, I'll tuck this back there while the harness is loose and put it into the right position. Otherwise it won't fit. And you can see actually it goes over the wiring even on the sides, and that's your holder there, and there's one over here too. Let me back that out. Alright, just want to make sure all of these spots, alright, we had one right here, remember? So I'm just going to feel in there. And once I know that's lined up, I can put that in its back holder. Right, this goes right there. It looks also, it could be for water redirection, right? So water will run off and not fill your back cylinders. That's not good. I've seen that before. Sometimes you got to replace the engine because the corrosion, your injectors get corroded in the back cylinders. They don't come out, and they're stuck in the cylinder head. With a higher mileage car, you're done. At that point, it's not even worth trying to fix it. It would cost too much money with no guarantee that the engine would even be viable. Yep, so this now gets compressed for the screws here, and I'd like to put it in, get one started by hand, if I can to start. I kind of float my housing. I might be able to cheat a little bit. But I want to make sure I'm in the right spot. This is kind of a pain. There it is. Get a couple of threads started. I'll feel better about it. Yep, there we go. Alright, so that one's started. If I take my other one and hold it like this, and use this at the same time for the back. Of course. Told you I had dropsies today. I hit the pan, the cover right there, so let me grab that. Alright, thankfully it didn't go too far. It just fell right on the corner. I could just reach up underneath on the reinforcement shield and grab it, but I told you I had dropsies today. Usually you know the days you get the dropsies. Alright, so that's sitting there. I don't have any butyl here either, which I put butyl on the end of the tip and then be able to kind of bring it down there slowly. There we go. Okay. Wrong way. Right way. You just tighten this gently right to there. It is a plastic valve cover. We do not need to over tighten. You can see I can sneak in here And gently snug. Do not over tighten. It's just holding this harness in place. That's all it's doing. Look, there's a washer fluid pooling down there. Pretty sure that's the flappy right there that's supposed to be draining. I'm gonna stick a pick down here and just massage that. You see that? Ugh. Look at that, it's just full of goo. And that should be an open hole. So that's what it should look like. It's just full of just debris. So you want to clean these. Yuck. Man, that would have been another problem that my buddy would have had. I want to keep these clean, and I don't know, I probably should. There's one on the other side too. So if that one fills up, sometimes water actually gets into the cabin. It will overflow into the cabin, right? You have these grommets right here on the sides. If this fills up, it can even come all the way up, I think, and run in through the bulkhead where the AC inlet is, the air inlet for the heating control system. So clean that while we're here. Next step we're going to do is reinstall this piece right here. Time for the bulkhead partition. Okay, so this is that AUC sensor. That actually just locks into, I don't even know if the holder's on here. Oh yeah, that's part of the other piece. Alright, so we're gonna just put this in here and lift this up, and this goes in the front. That slides that away, and everything should drop in once you get it all aligned. There is a slot here, I'll show you in a minute, that does have to go into. It should be movable enough that we can finagle around everything. Just have to get it, there we go, in the right spot. Let me show you. Okay, so right here, there's like a slot right there, and then over here it just falls into place, and looks like my battery's dying, so I need to pause and charge up my camera. Be back in a bit. Alright, I grabbed the charger. So we got one screw here. We have the other two Allen or hex head screws on the top here. One and two. And then we have the 10 millimeters. Remember, two of them, not one. I always forget that there's one hidden down here. Right in this well. I'll show you in a momento. And the push pin here. And then, oh, I have the cable, right? That makes everything more difficult. Right, so we have 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and our push pin. And I'm just going to go ahead and tighten these up. Remember, it's plastic, so gently tighten. And stop. 1, 2, 3. And 2 10s. These pieces are important. They deflect water from also getting into your injector wells, and that can cause a lot of damage. If these are separated, I mean, you saw how easy it was to replace it. Not a big deal. There's some more screws in the center. There's some on the other side. You could use this video and actually figure out how to do the partitions too, though I think I might have a video on it. You want to replace these, don't leave them. You're going to potentially cause engine damage, irreparable engine damage due to corrosion. Don't let your bulkhead partitions fail. They separate right on the seam on both sides. Fix it. It's money well spent. Okay, here's our microfilters. They're pretty dirty. I'll have to let him know he's going to need some microfilters. Right, here's that little holder for the sniff sensor. It just twists and locks in. that after. This should just drop in with some finagling. Once you get it in there, it just kind of falls into place. Of course, I got to dig for the sniff sensor. Lock that in place like I showed you, just twist, and then we have the 13 90-degree locks. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we have the cover, which goes in around the shock. Good strut brace. Opposite side, and once again everything gets finagled. See, because you have this rain channel with this little lapper on it right there. You gotta get that into that channel. That wiring right there was blocking me. That goes into that channel. This goes around there. Above my clean hat. And there we go. This one just sits on top. There are these little tabs here which slide down. I know they can get caught and lifted, so just check those. And once you're happy with the fitment, lock it. Can I get that? Yeah, I can. That's because I have this wobble socket. Right, it has this end on it right here. So I can go full lock or come up one, and it's still there, and it gives you more wobble. So it can be straight, or if I come up, it gives you a nice wobble. I like them. Did that one, and that one, and then we have just our water barrier gasket that just pushes into place. Now for the part that's, it's not super hard, but a little bit harder, is putting that piece back in, our intake. Alright, gonna replace the crankcase hose, T20. You have an open hole here for the turbo inlet, so I just want to make sure I don't get any debris in that inlet down there. So just move it over. This does wiggle out. I might have to pry it out a bit, but it's just a gasket holding it in. There she comes. Okay. All right. That's your heater. We have our new one that we don't want to break. Okay, and we're just going to install that also. There's a new O-ring. Make sure that the O-ring came out with it. With the old one, it's not in there. We'll see. Nope. Alright, she popped in. Line up your two holes for your screws. Snug her down. This also is just a gentle snug. It's into plastic. The gasket does all the work. Okay, let's not break that going back in, right? So, we got our wiring. We got to make sure that's up and out of the way, because we'll plug that in to the mass airflow sensor. And we just need to feed this down now and rest it in place. Don't forget about the vacuum hose. It's out of the way. Let's move you. so you can see. Alright, so it's basically just resting in place. And I want to watch out for this, although it's definitely a lot sturdier. Right, I have to make sure that this hose here, we get the angle. So lifting up and over, it's going to get me the angle I need. So I'm going to get this guy ready. I'm going to get the angle I need. Push that over and get onto my turbo pipe. And you see I'm still lined up here. I want to make sure everything's good before I lock that in. Don't forget to lock it in or you'll have an air leak. But I want to make sure everything's good. Alright, there's my sensor wiring. That's good. And I'll probably push that down. That's all good before I lock that because they break. Even new. Sometimes they're very hard to separate. It's hard to get to the bottom clip without breaking it. You have 4. Again, you can get away with 2, 3 is better, 4 is best. So let's line everything up. And then let me snug that down. Dang, it says I got 4 minutes of recording left. I mean, my birthday's tomorrow, so maybe I should buy myself a new camera. I think it might be time. But I need to tighten this up here and then put everything on. Let's see if I can do it in 4 minutes of video. Alright, 4 minutes, go. Alright, so I put that into position so these can get locked down. This is tight. Put my mass airflow sensor, clip that on. Those rubber things there. This has to go on here. That's sitting there. That. Yep, I got that vacuum line here floating. I'm going to hook up the vacuum line. Don't forget your crankcase wiring, which is down here. It's the 2-pinner. That just should slide and lock. That's for your crankcase. Don't forget to lock this like so. All 4 are locked. Bam, bam, bam. Okay. Oh, by the way, there's no way to reset the spark plugs. It works off of CBS, so it's associated with another service like an oil change. So the dealer told you that you needed plugs. You ended up doing it yourself, like I did here, and they did your oil change and you reset it. It will automatically reset. Keep going, 3 minutes left. I went from hourly tech to flat rate tech. Slide this up. Remember, you have that holder here. That screw with that washer, just make sure that that washer doesn't fall. Again, gently snug. That holds that in place. We have our snorkel. Put our snorkel on, pop that on, lock that in place like so. We have our vanity cover with the 2 tabs in the back. Put that on. Push it down a little bit to slide it in. And we're done. I probably got 2 minutes left. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to my Ask the Car Experts YouTube channel for more tips and tricks on many BMW repairs and other repairs to come. Thanks for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. It really does help in the YouTube metrics. And send me a comment. Alright, have a great day, guys. See you later.